There's a lot of stats around this that people are going to work and they're disengaged. Like 2/3 of the workplace is just, take it or leave it. I'm totally disengaged with this company. I just don't care anymore. And that's, to me, just this huge tragedy for 2/3 of the population out there that are spending 40, 50 hours, whatever, a week doing something that is this sort of soul-sucking activity. And so for me, I think, it started with our BLISS philosophy, build love into scalable systems. If we can do that for companies, build love into their companies so that not just tell their story.
This is the Bender CFO Podcast, where we empower business owners to gain financial clarity and maximize growth.
Hello, everyone. I just finished a great podcast episode talking with Stephen Sakach, Xero company. Also, he just launched AI CMO. His company just launched AI CMO. That's Chief Marketing Officer. It was an exciting, inspiring conversation, and how he uses empathy and the BLISS Method, build love into scalable systems. Love and systems, and sometimes what is that? But just the way that he described that and how important that is to make it scalable and to really just have an empathy in the inside of marketing. And the new tool, AI CMO, with the technology out there, it's very exciting, and it provides an opportunity for companies of all sizes to be able to utilize empathetic form of marketing and utilize a tool very inexpensively and be able to build good marketing programs, marketing strategies. It's a good conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I think you'll enjoy this episode. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Today, we are diving into the world of AI-powered marketing, purpose-driven branding, and the future of human connection in the digital age with a true innovator, Stephen Sakach. Stephen is the founder and CEO of Xero Company and co-founder and CEO of AICMO.io. That's Chief Marketing Officer, where he has pioneering a new era of empathetic AI marketing. With over 3 decades of experience in digital media, marketing, journalism, and human consciousness, Stephen has dedicated his career to helping brands build authentic, purpose-driven connections with their audiences. At AICMO.io, Stephen is leading the charge in human-centric AI marketing, leveraging his BLISS method. And that means build love into scalable systems, BLISS, to embed empathy, emotional intelligence, and ethical AI principles into branding and storytelling. His company ensures that AI doesn't replace relationships, but enhances human connection at scale. As the founder of Xero Company Performance Marketing, Stephen has spent over 26 years helping businesses grow while maintaining authenticity, trust, and emotional resonance in their messaging. His approach balances data-driven strategy with ethical, value-based storytelling, ensuring that marketing isn't just about reach, it's about lasting impact. On top of all that, he's the host and producer of the BLISS Business Podcast, where he shares insights on marketing, leadership, and personal growth. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Hey, Shane, glad to be here.
Yes. Anyway, another thing is I have got an opportunity to work with Stephen and his team for quite a while. It's about a year. We're putting on a year now. And so as a fractional CFO, and that's what we do. And having a focus working with marketing agencies, got to connect with them. We got to actually go out to California and visit and meet them in person too. And it's a great organization. And we're going to spend a lot more time unpacking this AI CMO today too. But first of all, I just want you to just explain what inspired you to start Xero Company and start the business that you're doing today.
Yeah, back in college, my job didn't even exist when I was in college. It was not, digital marketing wasn't a thing. And then we did have, I remember, because I was a journalism major, we did have this thing that was called it was a digital version of our newspaper that they handed out on discs. And they did that so that they could get analytics, and which pretty common these days. People understand this concept of analytics and what's going on your website. But back then that was whole new and pre-internet. And then, so that was the closest thing we've got to my job, I guess, back then. But yeah, coming out of college didn't exist. I remember when the internet kind of blew up, the .com era, I got into the search side of things back then. Google wasn't even a thing back then. It was the Wild West. And I remember
Alta Vista.
Yeah, Alta Vista, Excite. And then there's this little company called GoTo.com that came along. And they're the
Oh,
ones who invented the paid search, the
yeah.
pay-per-click thing. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be the next thing.
Yeah.
So I jumped onto that. And for years and years, we were building our own sites and marketing them. And then around the recession, around 2007, 2008, my neighbor came to me and he was like, hey, my business is about to go under. Can you help us? And I'm like, sure, let me take a look. And we put up some ads for him, and this was his off-peak season. And this is one of the worst sites you can ever imagine. And we got a couple sales, and I'm like, that's amazing. I don't know how we did that. Let's turn it off. Let's redo your whole site. A couple months later, we turned it back on, and his business blew up. And then for us, for me, that was really a shift of instead of doing something for myself, I could see a lot of satisfaction in being in service to others. And so that's really where we started to build the agency out from doing things from not just Google, but all the social platforms. And then you get into these days, some of the stuff you have to be careful with is like the creepy stuff on programmatic and things where you're following
Mhm.
people around on their phones.
Yeah.
And that really was where the agency, we made that shift into doing what we do these days.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. So tell me a little bit about how you are specifically adding that. You talk about helping businesses, helping them survive, helping them grow. What are some specific things that you do to add the most value to your clients?
Yeah, I think most digital agencies, lot of the first thing you're doing is obviously you want ROI on what you're doing for sure, right? You know all the numbers, right? You got to make them work out for them. But a lot of digital agencies do that. That's their thing. So to separate ourselves from that, we've really focused on more of this empathetic approach to marketing, which really goes a bit deeper. I think most people can understand the concept of a customer journey that a customer goes through, but there's these different stages they go through, and each stage has different emotions and different little things to pay attention to as you're going through that customer journey. So we dive in deep into what these emotions are. Even after the sale, there's emotions related to like your consumption emotions of your product or your service. And those are
Mm.
very important to marketing. So we want to make sure that our clients are considering all those things as we're building out campaigns for them. And then really what we're getting into now, like you mentioned with our AI chief marketing officer, is providing some AI tools that can help them do that at a very high level. And
Mhm.
not only do that, but also focus and drill down and figure out what their business's higher purpose might be so that we can tell a more emotionally connecting story. That's really been our focus with our development of our software, and our agency is trying to sew that thread of kind of empathy through everything we're doing.
I think that's a nice, unique approach. I think marketing in general, sometimes people don't think of marketing and empathy together.
No, it's very
And
transactional.
and so that's really good. Like, what's a good example of how you would do that? How you would be empathetic? Like, what campaign would what it would say that comes across as more empathetic for the if you have a customer's like, this is how we would say it. This is the content, or how. What's an example maybe that you would give in that?
Yeah, what's interesting too with our AI, because if you plugged in your business in there, we've got some brainstorming tools in there that are going to come up with all kinds of creative ideas to have
Hmm.
this kind of emotional connection in there. And really, we start with trying to figure out what your business's higher purpose is. Like Shane, for you, what would be your higher purpose? It's not just necessarily to help us get our books in order and stuff, but you're helping me, right? You're helping me achieve
Yeah,
my goals, my
right.
dreams. And so, how can you tap into those emotions and those concerns that I have around that and
Yeah,
tell your story on a deeper level? Because that's a lot more fun, right, Shane? We're if we're
yeah,
just
yeah.
thinking about transactions and stuff, yeah, you can do that. But really, if we get into the deeper connection you and I have with trying to achieve this dream, that's really what you're about, I think, on that
Yeah.
higher purpose way, right?
Yeah, it makes it a lot more fun because at the end of the day, yeah, you're trying to every working with you, and probably the primary reason why I like to do fractional CFO is I get to work with other smaller businesses that are trying to hit a certain goal. That goal is usually personal, but the businesses, the reason that they're getting to that, they want to make an impact. They need to obviously provide for their family and have some financial goals. They need to have employees. They want to help them meet their goal. It's really amazing amount of impact that small businesses make in
Sometimes
the area. Yeah.
it's just a little shift in your perspective on what you do.
Yeah.
I think that people aren't aware of. I remember there's this, I think it's Simon Sinek's story where he talks about this airport worker who's loading people's luggages, and he's got to go to work on Christmas Day or Thanksgiving Day, and his family's, oh, why do you have to do this? And that could be a grind, right? You're away from your family, the weather's
Mhm.
cold, and you're out there, and it could be miserable. But he's all, I understand that I've got to get grandpas to see their families, and the
Uh-huh.
importance of my job, even though you may not think it sounds important, is a huge importance to that. And when you can drill down deeper to find that higher purpose in whatever you're doing, I think that's a much more compelling story for whatever service
Yeah.
you're offering. So that's where we start, is to try and drill down into that higher purpose with someone.
Yeah. That's great. So I want to drill a little bit further in with the AI CMO or AI Chief Marketing Officer.io tool there. And it's just got launched at the time of this recording. It's been launched, I don't know,
Just
just
a
what, a
few
couple
days.
weeks or something, a few
Yeah.
days, but it's been in beta or alpha beta, whatever you would call it, for a while. And it's interesting with all the AI tools. You got ChatGPT, and then now you got this new DeepSeek. You got all these different AI, Gemini and Claude. There's so much out there. And how is your product differentiating? How can someone might be like, I'll just do it on ChatGPT or I'll just do it myself. Like, how is yours different than that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if you had, say, 10 different 10 of the same businesses, like in my town, maybe there's 5 guys that install carpeting or something, right? If they all go to ChatGPT and say, come up with ads for me, each of them is going to get very similar ads, and it's not going to be super compelling. So if you're just going in there with a basic level of knowledge on marketing, you're going to get like a basic output, right? Sometimes it's that
Mhm.
garbage in, garbage out kind of thing that we all hear about. So
Yeah.
what we've done is, no matter what marketing tactic you're using, we've gone out and reverse engineered what some of the most effective marketing tactics are, so that you can choose
Mhm.
from them in a very simple way. So we have 100 different expert tactics in there, right? A lot of times even marketers don't know what they don't know. They don't know there's all these different tactics out there. So that's the first thing, is you'll be able to leverage all these different tactics. Secondly, we're coming at it with this approach to marketing that is trying to be more empathetic and emotionally engaging. And so we've worked with the AI for over a year and a half until we got to a place where it's trained off of some of these more emotionally connecting ad campaigns and things like that, where we know things have gone viral and all that. So there's a lot of that goes into the back end, versus if you're just going to chat GPT and typing something in and saying, give me an output. There's a
Mhm.
lot of thought behind all this. And I think
Right.
that's a huge amount of value because, like you said, been doing marketing for 26 years. We're putting all of that into it to really build like this chief marketing officer that's very intelligent in there, versus
Yeah.
just going to chat GPT and putting in something basic and getting out something basic that your
Yeah.
competition's probably doing too.
That's a good point. Yeah. You just been currently myself doing a lot more AI tools and trying to understand it and how to prompt it. And but it sounds like from just a little bit of what I know, it's like you're building a really complex. I don't want to use the word prompt because it's much more than a prompt, but it's like a lot of different questions and fields, and you got to answer all these different things about yourself, and it scrapes your website and scrapes this, that, and the other,
Yeah,
and
it's
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 under.
looking at it's looking at how you what your brand voice is right now. So it can go
Yeah,
out to your website and figure out, okay, this is how you talk, so we want to emulate that style. Or maybe you're like, I like my competitor's style, I want to emulate that. Or yeah,
right. Yeah,
have my brand more like Nike, and it'll like, okay, I can take that
yeah,
voice and run it through all of our ad copy. So you've got that, and you've got different questions we take you through to allow you to differentiate your business in different ways.
yeah.
So it's got all these different knowledge base that is built up about your business in this very kind of intelligent way that it brings to each of these tasks of whatever you want to do, whether it's writing an email, placing a Google ad, or making social posts.
Yeah.
There's a ton of tools in there.
Who's a good, I don't know, customer of that tool? Who would be a good fit to go out there and try that out?
We've tried it on just about every type of business we can think of because our client base is very broad. So obviously there are some I would say low hanging fruit types of businesses that need to speak empathetically, like you go to your doctor or your maybe the hospitality industry. You've got
Hmm.
some that really do need to take that empathetic approach to marketing. But where we've seen it super successful is even outside of that, because you put in like a thrift store in there. I've seen amazing results from that, just blew people's minds. So I haven't seen any type of business where it doesn't work. It's really effective. I'm continually shocked at just how good it is, no matter what business you go in and use.
Yeah. All right. This is an exciting tool. So tell me, like, what are some mistakes that you see small businesses or other marketers, anybody making right now, and how do you avoid them?
Yeah, on the marketing side of things, like I said, I think marketers were one of these the first adapters of AI, and you've seen probably a lot of marketers and professionals trying to use some of these tools, but a lot of these tools are in a way very similar, and they're
Hmm.
producing similar outputs. I'd be really careful on if you've already got an AI tool that you've been using. There are much more sophisticated tools that have come along since then. It moves very fast. Things are being developed very quickly, and we're getting this next level of development in there. Don't get married to your tool right now if you've been using it for a while, because things have changed a lot. So I
Right.
think I see that a lot still happening out there. I think a lot of marketers are really just focused on that transactional approach too, of just
Right.
this very simple, hey, save 10%, buy our product now approach, which is not very compelling. And it ultimately that doesn't build like a community around your business. If you
Right.
really want a following and a loyalty, you really have to focus on what's your overall experience from the beginning of that customer journey to after they purchase it, to at that point, if you can really tap into those consumption emotions of your service or product
Right.
and develop this kind of, I don't know, we have one of the tools we have in there is this surprise and delight tool, because we know those kind of emotions really
Yeah.
help connect you to a business at a higher level. But that's how you
Right.
get to that place where your clients now are your best marketers. They're the ones telling other people about your business, is when you
Yeah.
kind of master that whole process. And a lot of agencies don't focus on that whole thought.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. And I think that it's pretty powerful what you guys can examples you can show in the AI CMO tool. Would encourage anybody listening to this to check it out for sure. Just shifting gears a little bit, obviously from a financial standpoint, you guys made a decision to focus on working with a CFO and stuff. So, what makes working with a CFO or a financial professional, what makes that partnership successful in your mind?
Yeah, I think the first thing that we want is to make sure we're in alignment with you, and here's our goal, here's our culture. How do we get there? So I think that kind of building that relationship is important. But I'm curious, Shane, like for you, what do you think really makes it a successful relationship?
Turn the question on me, huh? I like that. So
Hey,
he's a podcaster himself. He's got the Bliss podcast, so he's good at asking the questions. But yeah, no, obviously for me, it's important to have good communication, good meetings, and make sure that we have those regular meetings to go over what's happening in the business and what compared to the original goal. So like we obviously set up one of our first discussion points we do with any client is okay, what are you trying to accomplish? How much revenue, how much profit, what kind of margin are you trying to make? Because different companies are different. Some people are like, I don't need a whole lot of profit. Obviously, you need enough to have positive cash flow, keep the employees paid. And some people want 20% profit or more. And
yeah,
so
and for
understanding those
for
goals. Yeah.
for us, like we were in this for a year and a half, this development stage of this product, and I'm like, Shane, we need to go as fast as we can go,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
stay in the
Yeah.
positive. So that's totally different from like your other clients, because we were just in a different stage
Yeah.
of
You're
our
in
business.
investment mode for sure. Big investment mode. And when that's it's like that. Different years, different goals. There might be a goal, hey, we want to have profit at this level. But anyway, yeah, it's all about setting those goals and then having that common report and comparing how we're doing actual compared to it and communicating, working with the team. So that's what helps.
I think there's some similarities with us in marketing too. That's one of the first things we do is try and figure out hey, what are the KPIs? What are the goals we want to achieve there? I know for our best clients, the ones that we always seem to have success is that they aren't like the micromanaging type that are on top of you for every little thing, and because they don't let us be the experts for them. So I've noticed, give us a little bit of freedom to work with you, but we want to be in the trenches with you. We want to understand everything about your business, but you're experts at your business. We're experts at ours. Let's get together and figure out what your goals are and get there together. So I think, yeah,
Mhm.
for us, there's a little bit of that relationship building and those goals from the very start that we really do focus on a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. What would be some advice that you could give businesses trying to improve their financial strategy? What are some things that when you run in working with the business for a while, what's some advice that you would give?
It's interesting. Like we're going through a process, and you know that we've talked about this where much, we're becoming much more transparent with all of our numbers, with our staff and everything. And I really liked this process. It's uncomfortable, I think, for a lot of business owners, but we've switched to these self-managed teams at work.
Mhm.
But I've seen once they had an idea of, oh, these are the numbers of our expenses and our revenue and stuff, and we need to get here. Once they had that clarity, I think we've all started rowing in the same direction much better. So I
Yeah.
think, yeah, having that clarity in your financial strategy and being able to share that as much as you can, get everybody on board with it. I think that's huge.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's having obviously communicating with your team exactly your financial situation. Now, there are different employees that have different levels that they can take certain information. Typically, you're talking about executives, directors, higher level uh, people within your company to make sure that, hey, you understand that what you're doing, this is what amount of profit. I probably said this so many times talking with you is what we need to hit this gross margin, we need this operating margin, this revenue per person. There's certain metrics I keep looking at. I know that if you hit those and if everybody can be on the same page on that, it's huge. So I agree with you on that. Great. But as we wrap up this, I just tell me what motivates you in your daily work each day.
Yeah, I love right now that we're helping companies find their purpose and be able to tell that story in their marketing. I think so much of there's a lot of stats around this that people are going to work and they're disengaged. Like two-thirds of the workplace is just, take it or leave it. I'm totally disengaged with this company. I just don't care anymore. And that's to me just this huge tragedy for two-thirds of the population out there that are spending 40, 50 hours, whatever, a week doing
Mm,
something that is this sort of soul-sucking activity. And so for me, I think, it started with our BLISS philosophy, build love into scalable systems. If we can do that for companies to build love into their companies so that not just tell their story, but have something that their employees can get behind as a story and everyone can be finding this North Star within their organization. I think that's just a huge service. So I love what we're doing in that regard. And I know if it's like, how would I define success with that is like the next obvious question on that. And it's really, I don't know where the metrics are going to be, but I would love to see how many people can build like love into one of their systems at work. Just something, because what you get down to is if you want to make a change in this world, it can't really be like a random act of kindness to make a true change. It's got to be a system wide sort of change where something happens over and over again versus some person who has a great heart and they did this one thing that helped everybody out. That's great, but we really need to make systems that make change in the world. And so
mm,
if I'm if I can do that, not just for one business, but do it 1,000 times over or 10,000 times over, where someone has taken some part of their process that they're doing on a daily basis
mhm.
and they're building some bit of love into it, some bit of empathy, some bit of compassion, so that even if they walk away from it, it's still
Yeah.
churning for the next person that comes in from there. And you've left kind of a mark and a legacy in that. For me, just seeing that bigger picture and trying to build that into the world, that's what motivates me.
Yeah. That's great. Oh, that's some deep stuff there. But that makes you don't really think of that whole love and systems. You don't think them sometimes they don't really.
Yeah,
People think
one's
they go
kind of
together,
this one's kind of
but
this object and one's this
yeah,
subject. So it's a subjective and objective thing. And there's a
yeah.
lot of stuff behind consciousness about that between those two, but we're really trying to merge that together so that these systems, like with AI, how we prompt AI to give us an
Mhm.
output, these systems can prompt us to give an output of compassion and love.
That's great. That's great. I think that was very inspiring, and it's I'm really have been enjoy working with your team. You and your teams definitely believe there's some great things coming, and everyone definitely check out the AI CMO. It's a great, affordable by far option to just check it
Are
out.
we charging too little, Shane? Are you going to come back to this?
Yeah, I think that I think that they're going to get a good deal. Let's put it that way if they check it out. And there's obviously opportunities for if you need more to work with the team and get more interactive or one-on-one marketing help. But just by seeing what that AI CMI tool, you just go on and type in AI CMO. I actually did that, like it pops up, so it's right there on. It's not hard to find.
I've
So
got
check it out.
aicmo.io, and that's where
Yeah.
you can find out about the tool. And if you need a digital agency, we're at zerocompany.com, Zero.
Yes, definitely. And we'll add the links there too for you to find that. Yeah, Stephen, thanks a lot for the time today. It was great, inspiring, good discussion, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Shane. It was fun.